flagship pale ale is a beer they've been brewing since they started double barreled, and since I started they've been really dialing it in and refining it. It's actually based originally on a style called a cold IPA, which they made first, which was about 7%, I think, and they quickly realised that wasn't particularly marketable for mass sales, so they scaled it right down and made it a bit more session friendly. So it's kind of typical of what we do a lot, like I was saying at the beginning with the juicy session pale, but in this case there's a touch of bitterness to it as well, which I think really makes it quite moreish. It's hopped with exclusively American hops. There's a couple called Cascade and Centennial, which we used in the boil. And then the key sort of selling point is it's all dry hops with a hop called Citra, which is one of the sort of leading craft hops from sort of when the craft beer revolution started. So as the name suggests, I get a lot of citrus, but also because of our house style, there's a lot of tropical fruits, a bit of peach, and sort of really nice and smooth and easygoing. And yeah, it's one of those that is sort of gradually changes quite often, because we try different experimental techniques in a lot of the one-off beers that we make, and often they'll be applicable back to this. But generally try and keep, the key things are sort of session friendly, and it needs to taste like Parker, which I think is quite a relatively unique taste. It's quite strange these days for a craft pale ale to have much bitterness to it at all, or much hopping before it's pulled down. Everyone's always quite surprised in the industry when I say we use hops during the boil. But yeah, aim to keep it really easy going. It's a beer I'm really proud of. I personally drink quite a lot of it myself, which sort of, given that I make it, you think I'll get tired of it. But yeah, any questions or anything, or just mingle away on music?
Why is it called Parker?
So the original cold IPA was called Cagoule. And there's some sort of story. Mike and Lucy went travelling a lot when they were thinking about opening a brewery, just to see what beers were out there in the world, because it was as the craft beer revolution was starting, they were quite keen to see what other people were doing. It wasn't in the UK yet, to try and make something unique, because there were so many breweries opening, they needed something that stood out. And it's something to do with a story where they were in a rainforest, and a guy had a sort of really crap cargo coat that he wore in the rainforest. I think hence the sort of leaves with water on them. But certainly a lot of the early beers like Parker have got some sort of fairly in-depth stories from Mike and Lucy's past.
Big coat references.
Lots of coat references, yeah.
I don't think there's been any clearer, actually.
Craft beer has some funny names to them, a lot of them do, but ours have definitely had some funny ones over the years, haven't they? One's named after Jim's dog, which we'll find out a bit later. But
One of my dogs.
one of the dogs.
I think that's my favourite, actually.
The Parker. Yeah, I'm really happy with it. It's something that's, it's been a thing for 5 years, and what I quite like about it is that Mike, one of the founders, was head brewer when we started, so it was initially his concept, and there's things about it that I wouldn't have thought to do. So I do really see it as sort of a collaboration of experience of all the people that work there, which is really nice.
It's got the hoppy taste, but it's not overpowering.
Yeah,
It's quite subtle.
yeah, sort of another easy to drink, easy going.
How long have you been brewing for?
I've been brewing for about 10 years. In August will be 10 years.
How do you get into doing that? It's quite fun.
I've always liked cooking, and I've always liked beer. And so I wanted to try and make my own beer at home, but when I lived with my parents, I wasn't allowed because it was messy. But 10 years ago, I have a friend who was a brewer at the time, and she invited me to cover some holiday work for one of her colleagues that was off. So I just did, I think, 2 or 3 weeks in that brewery, just sort of learning how to do it. And then that summer moved into my own place and started home brewing. And then people kept trying to buy my home brew because it was quite nice. So I borrowed some money and started my own brewery about 8 years ago. And then got tired of being self-employed because it's not that much fun. So I had someone that was interested in taking it on, so I sold it to them to go and work for another brewery in Southampton. And then, 3.5 years ago, I started Double Barreled. Sort of growing with them really. I think fermentation capacity doubled every year for the first couple of years, and then now it's just a case of consistency and developing all the products, and yeah, just trying to keep it nice. Do a lot of people managing now. I've got quite a big team beneath me, so much less hands-on brewing and much more meetings.
Helped by beer though.
Pardon?
Helped by beer though.
Yeah, I live quite far away, so I don't really drink, but have one when I get it to relax.
Do you get staff discount?
Yeah. And if there's any cans that are slightly dented or not quite full
There happens
enough,
to be quite a few cans.
yeah, it's a good place to work.
Yeah, it's a lovely place to work. And Parker, yeah, as mentioned earlier, that's the one that's launched in Waitrose, so 67 stores nationwide, from Edinburgh, I think it's down to Jersey maybe?
Blimey.
So we're really spread out in the country, but yeah, it's really exciting news. That was 2 weeks ago as well, so
Yeah.
it's really neat for us.
I was in Leeds a couple of weeks ago and it was in a Waitrose there and that was really odd. So, yeah. Oh yeah, I'll make that. It's ready.
Do you like oversee every batch sort of personally then? So you
Yeah, so I
every
design all the
product stuff?
recipes, all of it's brewed on site in Tilewares, so yeah, sort of goods in, goods out. Yeah, sort of I've got a team beneath me that I trust, so I can just give them a sheet of the recipe, but then any deviations and things, it would be teamwork to fix that and refine things. And yeah, it's one of those where you're brewing the same thing every time, but there are small differences that you have to kind of try and adapt to during the brew day and try and keep it as consistent as possible.
Do you have young people taking up the craft, coming in, apprenticeships, that sort of thing?
We don't have any apprentices with us at the moment. I think there's a growing interest in it, something to train in, and there's some fairly good degrees and qualifications. We did look into it a while ago, but I'm not sort of fizzled out a bit. I'm not sure whether there's any institutions locally doing it. There's some really good degrees now in brewing and things in Nottingham and Edinburgh and things. And with, oddly enough, tutoring and teaching, the next beer that we're going to try has got a slight link to that. So I don't know whether everyone's ready for the next one yet. So yeah, this that we're about to pour is a beer called Everyone, and that's brewed with a group called the Count Me In Collective, who are starting a training brewery at the Castle Tap in town for people with learning disabilities and neurodiversities. So it's a group that's completely underrepresented in the industry. I think there are a lot of people with sort of very subtle neurodiversities around that don't really talk about it. But this brewery is literally for people that struggle to get work and just give them experience in an industry that they might fit into and might be interested in working in. So for this brew day, I sent some hop ideas to them, and their students all sort of read through them and selected the hops that are in this beer. And then we had, I think, 4 students come down to brew with us, so it was varying from sort of completely non-verbal people to people in wheelchairs and things like that coming for the brew day and just seeing what a brewery's like and just working through the brew day with us and sort of teaching them about the process as we were there. So it's a really rewarding brew day to get involved in and all for a good cause. And oddly, we were pouring this at a beer festival in Leeds, and I think managed to spread the word up to. I put them up some collaborations in Leeds, and
They're an amazing organisation,
yeah,
actually.
really lovely people.
They've been going for maybe a year, so they're quite new still, but
Becky,
it's a
who
special
founded
project.
it, has got a background in brewing, and then her and her husband's children have sort of had additional needs, so they sort of wanted to start something they could do with them. So it's a really nice cause. Yeah, we start to pour
And it's a
it.
delicious beer as well to top it all off.
So the hops that they selected for this one are called El Dorado and Brew One. They're quite new, modern hops, but both of them are really pineapple-y. Quite an odd flavour to get from hops, but yeah, they're really nice hops. It's turned out really well. It's what we call double dry hops, so there's a stage called dry hopping, which is largely for aroma, and this has got twice the amount in that something like Park would have, just have a really impactful aroma and deep flavour. So yeah, they're all right.